Hare Krishna. There's one beautiful verse in the Nectar of Instruction. Dadati pratigrinati guyam akyati prichati. And the verse is explaining that there are 6 loving exchanges among devotees. One is offering gifts in charity and receiving gifts. One is revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially. And one is offering prasad, sanctified food offered to Lord Krishna, and receiving prasad. So these are described as the 6 loving exchanges among devotees. And reflecting particularly on the Guyam Akyati Prichati part of that verse, which is revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially, I think we can all agree that it's very, very important that there's at least one person that we can reveal our minds in confidence to, so that we can express our inner thoughts and share our vulnerabilities, safe in the knowledge that in doing so, that confidence sharing won't be abused in any way or shared with anybody else. If we're unable to find even one person to do that with, then that is challenging and can be difficult, and ultimately it can lead to us having a double life, if you like, a kind of public life and then our own private life. Actually, Srila Prabhupada commented on that one time. In essence, he was saying that a devotee doesn't have a private life. Their public life and their private life are identical. And that makes sense. That's the principle that Prabhupada espoused many times of acharya, that one leads by example. But for many of us, that's quite a high bar for there to be literally no difference between our public life and our private life. At the same time, it offers us a great protection, because if we can achieve that standard, then we'll be completely comfortable in our own lives and our own skin, if you like, because we are exactly in public as we are in private and vice versa. So it's actually a great protection. And that is evidenced actually by one nice story from the Vedas. And the story is that once there was a king, and he was a benevolent king, and he allowed his kshatriyas, his warriors, to hunt, etc., even on his own internal land that was kind of, if you like, his private preserve as opposed to the general lands like that. However, there was one condition on his own private land, that foxes couldn't be hunted. The king was the only one who could do that if he so chose to do that. So one day there's this hunter, and he's on the king's land, and he's hunting a fox, and he catches the fox. And just as he's about to kill the fox, he notices in the distance that someone is coming. And when he looks a little closer, he can see, because of all the entourage, that it's someone important. And then he realizes it's actually the king who is approaching. And then he remembers that although he's allowed to be on that land, and indeed hunting, that foxes isn't something that he should be hunting. So in his haste and trying to think what to do, instead of releasing the fox, it was a relatively small one, he put it under his coat and hid it there under the coat. As the king approached, he stopped. As I say, he was a very benevolent king and kind and gentle soul. So he stopped to greet the man. And he stopped and asked, "Oh, who are you and what's your name?" And "I'm the king." And then the king, he engaged in some small talk, you know, like we all do sometimes, about how's the weather, what's the weather like, and all of those different things. But all of this was taking time. Anyway, eventually, after a number of minutes, the king left. And as soon as he did, the man fell to the ground and ultimately died. And what had happened was that while he was hiding the fox under his coat, the fox was literally eating the man alive. And of course, as a kshatriya, as a warrior, he was able to endure that to some degree, and that's what he did while the king was present. But it was too late by the time the king had left, because the king stayed there for too long from the point of view of the opportunity that the fox had to continue his eating. So the man fell to the ground, and then after a short period, he passed away. And the message of the story is that if we do something that we're not supposed to be doing, We have to find somebody that we can reveal that to, because if we don't, it will eat us away more and more and more, and ultimately that's very, very destructive for us and destructive for our spiritual journey and our progress in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.